Everyone, so this is going to be a video walkthrough of coding problem 4.2.5, which asks you to create a function called stringType that takes in a string as an argument and determines and returns the type of string that it is, which is going to be determined by these very specific cases that are specified for you in the instructions. So we're going to go through this problem. I'm going to walk through the thought process of how to solve it. We're going to talk about the instructions, we're going to talk about common mistakes, and we're going to run our code, and we are going to go over the output and why our code gives us this output, depending on the test cases that are given to us to run in the function. So first, we're going to create our function header. The function is called stringType and takes in a single string as a parameter. Now, this is a lot to take in right here. These specific conditions that we're looking for in our string that's given to us, right? But if you look through, you'll notice that in some of these conditions, the number of spaces and the number of periods is going to be important. So even if we don't know how exactly to code these conditions yet, we want to get a count for the number of occurrences of spaces and periods in our string. There's a couple of different ways to do that. One way is to create two variables that are integers that are going to contain the number of occurrences of these specific characters after we loop through the string. So a for loop is one way to get a count for our characters. So we can say for character in string, if character equals a space, we're going to increment the count of our spaces tracker. Otherwise, if the character is a period, did it again. We're going to increment the count of our periods tracker, right? This is one way you could accomplish this in your code. But we're going to do it an easier way, and one that's specified as a hint in the instructions. And this is talking about the count method. Count method is very straightforward. If we want to know the number of occurrences for our spaces, we do string.count, and we specify space as the character. Similarly, we can count the occurrences of periods like this. And this is a much more condensed way to code this problem using methods rather than loops. So, now that we've gotten a count for our spaces and periods, we want to go ahead and start coding these specific conditions. And we're going to do them one at a time, but we really want to pay attention to the order in which we code the conditionals in our conditional family, because they'll be very important. So I'm going to code these one at a time, and then we're going to talk about the order, and we may have to rearrange some things in order for the code to make more sense. So our first condition, if the string is empty, return the word empty. That's a very specific and straightforward line of code to deal with empty strings, and it's if string equals an empty string, just like this, we're going to return empty. All right? Nothing more to that. If it's an empty string, return empty. Our next condition deals with characters. So if the string is a single character, return the word character. Well, how do we determine if it's just one character? We use a built-in function in Python that checks the length of the string. If the length of the string is 1, then we know that it contains just one character. All right? So if length of string equals 1, this is the only circumstance in which the string could be a single character, right? So we return character. Next, we're going to do words. So if the string represents a single word, return word. The string is a single word if it has no spaces. So we have right here our variable spaces that contains the number of occurrences of the space character, right? So we can say elif spaces equals 0. If this is the case, we know our string is a single word, and so we return word. After word, we have sentence. The string is a sentence if it contains spaces, plural, but at most one period. So, elif spaces is greater than 1, and periods is less than or equal to 1, because it said at most 1 period, right? Now, is spaces supposed to be greater than 1? Imagine if we said greater than or equal to 1. If a string only has one space in it, then it is 2 words, which means it's a sentence. It's more than one word, right? So we want to do greater than or equal to here, and less than or equal to right here. And if this is the case, we're going to return sentence. After sentence, we're going to deal with a paragraph, right? The string is a paragraph if it contains both spaces and multiple periods. So similarly, we can code spaces greater than or equal to 1. But this time, periods, multiple periods, so greater than 1. We're going to return paragraph. Spaces is greater than or equal to 1. Periods is greater than 1 because it says multiple periods. Now we're brought to our final conditional, which is a page. So the string is a page, I assume that's supposed to say, if it contains any Newline characters. So the Newline character is this. It's a special character that we learned along with the tab character, right? But you can treat the Newline character just like any other character in Python. So let's say you wanted to check for a, right? You wanted to check for the existence of a in a string. You could do a in string. We can do the exact same thing with the Newline character. Elif Newline character is in string, then we're going to return page. So now we've coded all of our conditions for this problem, but we need to make sure we have them in the right order. This Newline condition is not in the right place. Why is that? Well, it's because if the string is a page, some of these other conditions that we specified would still be true, even though it contains a Newline character, which makes it unique. So let's say your page has more than one space and more than one period. If that's the case, because of the order that we've coded these conditionals, when Python runs through the page string, it could accidentally execute one of these conditions and never even reach down here. Now when I say accidentally, this is a semantic error. The code runs correctly, just not in a way that we want it to. So what if we put the Newline conditional right here? This way, if the string is a page, it reaches the Newline character and knows it's a page before it even looks at either of these conditionals, which could possibly be true and return the wrong type of string. Now why did I put it here? Well, in these three conditions, they are very specific and would not be the case if our string is a page, right? This page wouldn't be an empty string, it wouldn't have a length of 1, and it wouldn't have 0 spaces. So that's why we put it in here. The order is very important for conditional families. So now we're going to run this code with the test cases that are given to us. And it should say empty character word sentence paragraph page, just like this. So let's go through the test cases really quick. Empty string executes this return statement. Next one, the length of the string is 1, so it returns character. In this one, returns word because there are no spaces in this test case, but it's also not a length of 1 and it's not an empty string, so it returns word. The next one is a sentence because it has, multiple spaces and multiple periods. And the last one is a page. Now it contains multiple spaces, it contains multiple periods, but it contains a newline character. Because we put this newline conditional up here, it would return page rather than paragraph.